Welcome, Jennifer, to Communications.
Thank you.
Okay, you're all set.
Okay, great. All right. I'd like to call the Amity Board of Education Communications Committee to order at 5:32 p.m. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes, communication minutes from this is September 9th, but I think it should be November.
No, because remember we canceled that meeting.
Oh, right. It was.
Yep. And then we didn't have
a quorum.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was like, we met. Okay. Yes. All right. Anyone have any changes to the minutes from September 9th?
I'm good.
Okay.
So I still need somebody to make the motion, please.
I make a motion, it's Kathy
Thank-
Bradley, to approve the
Kathy.
meeting minutes.
Great.
I don't think I wasn't there, so I don't know if I can second.
We don't need a second in committee.
Vote?
Vote Dr. Oladile.
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Jen,
I'll abstain since I wasn't there.
Dana.
I'll abstain since I wasn't there.
Okay, motion passes 2-0.
All right, great. Public comment. Doesn't look like we have anyone for public comment. The next item on our agenda is review of our the bylaw that establishes our communications committee. I'm gonna. Do you want to review that? Or would you like me to, Jen, the bylaw?
Just give me a quick second. Let me pull it up. So we thought it was a good time to just establish the purpose of the committee, and especially welcoming Jen on as a new member, make sure that she was familiar with it. So the bylaw just simply states that a communications committee consisting of those members of the Amity Board of Ed appointed by its chairperson shall be a standing committee of the board. The Communications Committee is established to facilitate effective communication and is charged with increasing opportunities for two-way communication between the superintendent, the school community, and the public. The Communications Committee will develop strategies to improve communication between the Board of Education, schools, parents, students, staff, and the wider community to ensure efficient, effective, and varied methods of communication among all stakeholders, and will work to align communications with the district's strategic plan and district board goals in keeping with the board's roles and responsibilities. The Communication Committee shall recommend action to the board as necessary.
And Jen, just for your Jennifer, for some background, the committee really came about because of exactly what's in this bylaw, to facilitate effective communication. And I'd say the first year, our primary activity involved hosting community forums where, community members could come and have that sort of dialogue with board members outside of sort of the board meetings where we can't do that. We've since expanded to do a couple of other things. We provide input as we have it for the chair's newsletter that goes out to the community. It's published, I think, in the Orange paper and maybe some other places. And also, I think Jen also sends it out to the Amity community. And more recently, we've been talking about connecting with the PTSOs or PTOs, and maybe visiting with them once a year or twice a year, just to keep them abreast of what we're working on, and just to have lines of communication open. So.
Is there any communication with the boards in the elementary school towns?
From one board to another board? No.
Yeah. Okay.
The superintendents will convene together excuse me, the pupil services directors all convene together. The assistant superintendent curriculum people all meet together. So kind of at that up, and even honestly, like Mrs. Burke will meet with the three principals from the Orange Elementary Schools. Dr. Tracy will meet with the principals from Bethany and from Woodbridge. So at pretty much every kind of administrative level, we have our little sort of smaller groups. But board to board, we don't. And that's typically probably because as soon as we pull a few of you in the room, it becomes a board meeting for somebody. So I think the greatest extent where I've ever really seen that happen has been maybe the four board chairs can come together. Or like when we were talking a little bit, if we move forward with the ad hoc school start time committee, like at a just BOA level, one representative from each board could attend and, you know, have participation. But if we can't put more than one of you guys in a room from each board without it becoming a board meeting. So it tends not to happen.
And I know that's officially the case even by email, right?
Yes.
I'm just thinking it might be nice in the same way that I don't want to cause more work, but in the same way that the chairman's report kind of, gives some overview pieces, just for us to have a little bit of that overview. I think they maybe get a little bit more from Amity. Our meetings are a little bit more talked about, and we do have, Paul writing about it, but I think in the other direction, we have less of that. So, even just overviews of like any major changes or initiatives just might be helpful for us to know about so that
Yeah,
if there's
so
any aligning that's necessary,
I
it'd be
know,
good to know.
in Bethany, well, I can't say this now because I don't know that it's going to continue, but traditionally the selectmen of Bethany always had she had her own newsletter,
Mhm.
and they reserved a column for either the school principal or the superintendent to put their information there. Woodbridge did that also for a while. That I think was distributed electronically. I don't know, I've seen it so much lately, so I'm not quite sure what happened. And then the Woodbridge Times kind of went defunct, so that kind of all disappeared. I don't know what Orange has and how Dr. Scarpetti communicates out to the Orange community, but I'm assuming he must have some ability to do sort of like what we do for the Orange Times and the Milford Orange Times. So
Yeah, I'm more talking like board to board. So like, for example, I know one of the things going on with Orange Board of Ed is that they're feeling like a lot of their policies have not been updated in a long time. So that's an initiative they want to do is update a lot of their policies. So like just hearing that, like finding that out from, the schools, more of that of like kind of what are the big things they're working on or initiatives. And I just think it's, again, being a regional school, it's such an unusual thing. I don't know how that could be done or what the point would be, but I feel like it might help us to be more aligned together.
I can certainly use my meetings with the BOAs to see what it is, if there's something, I mean, like I know right now Woodbridge is deep in the middle of a study of what to do with their school. And that's going to have a significant impact on their budget, which in turn means our budget has to have some sensitivity to that. So I get that information through my meetings with superintendents and can convey it back when I see that there's going to be sort of a give and take that we have to kind of work together. And the AFC, honestly, probably one of the best places. It's not so much board related, but definitely budget related. The whole purpose of the AFC is that we get feedback from the towns on where they're going to have to spend money, and we give feedback to them as to where we would need to spend money. And it's really should be a give and take, so we understand how we're impacting each other. Sometimes doesn't quite feel that way. It sometimes just feels like it's all like us telling them information and asking for stuff. But it would be great if, because again, I don't want to go out and bond for, $70 million if I know one of our towns has to also go do that to build a new school. Like we want to be, working in harmony, not
Where, yeah.
in opposition.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Jen, I typically watch the Orange Board of Ed meeting every week. I can't always make it to it just because time's constraints, so I typically will watch it. So that's a really great resource for you if you want to just watch their meetings and you'll be able to find, I'm sure you could watch, I've never actually watched the Bethany and Woodbridge ones, but I know it's public access, so you can watch them as well.
Yeah, so I think that's the point is like I'm more clued in obviously to Orange just because that's where I am, and like even just being part of the DTC, we get reports from the different boards and hear stuff, but I really don't know Woodbridge and Bethany at all. So I don't know, and maybe the other board members do, but we don't really have a forum to share that kind of stuff. So
I mean, Jennifer, this might also be, so two things, I guess. One, we might, when we start to have those visits with the PTOs, that might be a venue where we get to learn more about sort of what's happening in the schools.
Yep.
And then the DTCs, if they're communicating, I think that's like another way that I think everybody can sort of stay in the loop about what's happening at the elementary school level. All those folks are represented in the DTC. All right. Any other questions? And even from those of us who have seen the bylaw before and helped to give feedback and shape it, we think it's still accurate. Our current still reflects our activities. Okay. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the PTSO outreach status update. So Jen and I actually, that's what we just ended up talking about that during that meeting last month. And I think you sent that letter out to PTSO folks. I don't know.
No, not yet.
Okay.
So it'll go out tomorrow. I wanted to wait for this meeting, make sure that the committee was aware of the letter, so I'm sharing it right now.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody can see it. I'll send it out tomorrow and get feedback from them as to what dates are available. I think we pretty much have a standing invitation to sort of go to any one of the Amity PTO meetings because it is our school district. So if we wanted to at least plan that, I just have to find where I actually have a whole file on when everybody meets.
And I believe last time we talked about, or in one of our meetings, like timing, like when, and I think we decided we'd start with like once a year. So I don't know if there's a time of the year that we think is ideal to visit and sort of bring updates to the PTSO bodies.
And what has happened in the past, I know when I first started in this role, the board would go right around February, March at budget time to go just let them know what the budget was for the upcoming school year. We talked a lot about kind of maybe not doing that so much because it just sounds like we only go to them when we need their votes. But at the same time, given that I'm sending it out right now in January, it's probably going to be in that February, March window. I think our idea was, to send one or two representatives, just go give a quick update of what we're working on as a board, and then really kind of just take questions from them, maybe not answer, but at least create an opportunity where questions can come in. All of the PTSO meetings will have the principal there, so a lot of times they can answer some of the questions that would come from them, even if you can't, but mostly if you took them in, I could help sort of craft a response that they can then kind of absorb and use amongst their membership. So if there was interest, I can tell you right now, hang on, I gotta shut my door because they're vacuuming outside of my office.
And is that 3 PTO, PTSOs? Is it AMSO, AMSB, and Amity?
We actually talked about going to the elementaries also. Because some of our things that we like when we do the bond referendum for all of these projects, it's not our kids that are going to benefit, it's their kids. Because our sophomores, juniors, and seniors won't even be in the school district by the time the bond gets through and we start construction on things. It's really, when we do bonding projects or big renovations, it's truly the elementary families that have the bigger kind of benefit from the work that we've done. So we talked about sort of doing more outreach with them. And then again, just in terms of trying to dispel rumors, we don't have a nice K through 12 through line. So people craft the stories they want to hear about what Amity is that sometimes may not be a fair representation of us. And so the idea of being able to go back to probably the people that should be, that are most supportive of us, the elementary PTSOs, and that support education and care about their kids, and to answer questions that they have. So we had thought of going back to the elementaries as well.
Okay, so that's seven PTSOs?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
PTOs or PTSOs?
9. There's 9 altogether. 4 in Orange, one in each of the.
Oh, the elementary school in Orange.
Yeah.
Beecher, and then there's a Bethany Elementary School.
Yeah. So if we wanted to start, the high school has a PTSO meeting, well, January 15th. People probably can't do that since that's tomorrow or in 2 days. But they have a meeting on February 19th and March 12th. That starts at 7:00 p.m. If there was any interest in somebody or 2 of you going to that. AMSB has meetings on February 5th and March 5th. Both of those start at 8:30 in the morning. And AMSO has a meeting on January 20th, February 24th, and March 24th. All of those start at 6:30 p.m.
So I'm happy
do you want
to
to send out this email, maybe see
Sure can.
who comes back first with interest?
Yeah.
And then if you want to send us all of the dates in an email, then we can maybe, are you opening this up to other people on the board or just the 4 of us?
I think communications can take a lead, but to me, it would make sense, like, that the people from Bethany and Woodbridge would be the ones who would do the AMSB meeting, and that some, couple of people from Woodbridge would go to the Beecher meeting. Like when we do it, it seems like we would want to sort of represent our towns, which means that you're certainly welcome to bring along some other members of the board, but primarily coordinated by communications. And then we would do the work around the questions that we get and how we do craft the messaging coming out of those meetings.
Okay, so I think also crafting something of what we're presenting as well. I don't know if you want to start something and then we can maybe review that.
So we talked about that. I mentioned that before. So just standardizing like the updates so that everyone gets the same updates across all the different schools.
And it would be essentially a small infographic. We'll do a little quick blurb on the budget, quick blurb on some of the initiatives that we're trying to move forward, that are going to have benefits for their kids. So a new middle school schedule will, career and college clusters are going to, things like the CNA program and the education path, and then certainly what we're looking for to do in a bond referendum. So, again, kind of trying to highlight those aspects. And we did talk that, again, if we start doing more work around school start time changes, it would be a venue that we could communicate that information. Although that might sort of come best, at least initially, from the superintendents and the actual districts themselves, and then we can kind of like lean in a little bit more. But yeah, so I will send out those dates and I can start working on kind of a handout thing that people can take with them when they go to the meeting.
Yeah, thanks. That would be great. Anything else for discussion about the PTSO outreach? So just so that I make sure I have everything correctly, we're thinking February, March each year. And it will, obviously we can include items about the budget in that update, but we'll have other items included as well. And we'll each try to go to the elementary and middle schools that are within our own communities. And it sounds like we're open to having other board members from our communities join us. But this will be an effort primarily led by this communications committee. And I think we're missing someone to, I think
Donna's not here.
Donna's not here, yes. Okay.
Yeah, 3 of us are from Orange, but they also have the most
Oh, do we have a Bethany
PTSOs.
member?
No, this is the one committee where we don't have a Bethany rep,
Okay.
just because the 2 of them are stretched so thin across so many other places.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can send somebody, and well, Autumn's kind of out of commission for a little bit, but you know, maybe Donna Schlenk would be able to come along just to do a quick visit.
Yeah. I suspect she'd be happy to do that. All right. So we'll look out for the email with those dates, and folks can start to select dates that work for them.
Yep, and I think the other one that will be easy to schedule would be Turkey Hill, because Megan is the chair of that PTSO. So
Okay.
all we have to do is just probably talk to her some night at a board meeting, and that should be easy to get done.
Okay.
So yeah.
Great. All right. Next item is a discussion of topics for the BOE chair newsletter.
Okay, and just give me a second to pull that up. I had it up. Okay. So my couple of thoughts for January. And again, looking at what we did last year, we did a quick update on the 26-27 school calendar. So that way it's out there for everybody when graduation is and everything, or, you know, or when presumably last day of school is, so people can sort of start planning that. I think that'll dovetail nicely, because then we can also do a brief explanation of the school calendar policy that passed last night. So all of that information will be forward facing. I will be able to do a very quick budget update, since I've presented to AFC already. So that way they have, everybody has kind of where we currently stand. I think, excuse me, in terms of some of the highlights that we will include, I just had an, oh, I know what it was. So I will do an update around Amity Creative Theater, and the production of Prelude to a Kiss, but then I can also do a launch for My Fair Lady, since that's coming up in the springtime, and get some information in there. I'll probably do something about just kind of broadly sort of the volunteerism stuff, because in December, we get a lot of, you know, the kids and the teachers, they all raise a lot of money and do a lot of things for the community. So I'll try to capture that. And then I will probably do some kind of explanation of or summary of Mr. Downhour's school climate presentation that we had at the end of December, and sort of school climate plans and where they can be found on the website, and kind of just sort of try to capture the December meeting in a nice short paragraph. So I don't know if there are any other ideas.
Do we have anything sports related, like from the end of the fall semester that we can include?
You know, we definitely had both cross country win the double L championship, and then girls soccer was the runner up. The cross country boys, I was thinking we could probably put something in when we have them at the board meeting. They'll come to the board meeting for their recognition in March.
Okay.
So my thought was I'd wait until then, and then we can, and stuff like that is covered in the paper, right? Like sports gets
Right.
to the, register, and it's on the news. It's sort of this other stuff that doesn't. So, but yeah, we'll definitely be able to do the boys cross country team when they come to the board meeting.
Okay. Anything? Go ahead,
when you were
Jennifer.
talking about the budget update, I think it would be really nice if you were planning on it to have it point to where it is on the website. Because I think the way that it's laid, and maybe even hype up the way that it's laid out, I think is really powerful for people to be able to click through all the pieces and the graphs and all of that. So,
Yeah,
highlighting that.
you know what? And now that honestly, I'll have to check with my administrative assistant, because we used to write these for physical publication. So we wouldn't put hyperlinks and stuff in because it was just not working. I don't even know how many of these publications still have physical papers. I think most of them are now electronic. So if that's the case, I'll check and see if they take hyperlinks, because then I can just embed them into what I write.
Yeah, I mean, even if they are a physical paper, they usually have an online version as well. So maybe you say available under, this spot on the website. Here's the hyperlink, and here's why you should look at it because it's very interactive or something like that,
Yeah.
Jen, did you say that you'd also include information on where to find the school climate results?
Yeah, I'm kind of, it's not there yet. I don't know how long it's going to take Peter to get it up. So I'm going to and I'd usually try to get this newsletter out this week.
Yep.
So I'll see if I include that or not. Or I just might say very broadly, it's, we share this information on our website, and at some point
it will be, it's
up
forthcoming
there.
or something. Yep. Okay. The only other thing would be like anything sort of club related. I feel like I've watched our kids on the news, and maybe you've done it in other newsletters, but any of our clubs make it to like do something spectacular and make it to some competition or anything like that.
Yeah, and we tend to get that a little more into the springtime, right? As sort of the competitive clubbing seasons sort of wrap up. I know we just got Scholastic Art Awards, but those haven't even gone out like in the community happenings yet.
Okay.
So I'll probably hold on that until it comes around at the end of January. I'm trying to think, we just got a $5,000 grant for some, Long Island Sound conservation things. But again, I'll wait until Andre gets that into his community happenings, because that's what he uses for me to help create the board report. And then once it's in the board report, I'll pull from there.
Okay. All right.
Maybe the superintendent award recipients that we had last night.
Yes, that's another one. And because Mrs. Burke just sent one out for her kids, but I want to make sure I have all of them recognized. That's a good one.
Because I don't think that was anywhere. I hadn't seen it published anywhere. So even one of the parents was like, "Who's being awarded?" And I was like, "They didn't tell you?" She's like, "No, they just told me my kid." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I think it's amazing that that gentleman is getting that article published, right? That was like amazing.
I think that was one of the girls.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
of our
Yeah,
SRP
it was one of
students.
the-
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's great. Any other suggestions for the chair's newsletter? Do we think we have enough content, Jen?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, they
Okay.
usually don't like it if I make it more than 2 pages, so,
Okay.
I was gonna say, Jen, I don't know if you can get it all in there.
yeah, I know, it may be too much, so I may have to pick and choose or just keep shorter blurbs, but I have enough
Okay.
certainly to get one put together.
Okay. All right. That's it for.
So I just have one question, Jen. That
Yep.
takes a lot of effort for you. I mean, you know, you publish the weekly report. So I think this is a valuable tool. Do you have any idea how many people open it?
No, because it doesn't, well, I could find it on our website, but the whole point behind Paul's newsletter was that it was really to start to hit people who aren't naturally gravitating to our website, to really get it out to the much broader community. And so it, you know, when it's put into the Milford Orange Times, I have no idea how many clicks it gets. But I think I mean, at this point, I do think it's probably our best resource for just connecting to anyone outside of the immediate
Right.
school community. And we did talk about, and again, I'll include this as once I send the letter to the PTSOs, is making sure that I maintain that contact list and I send it to them specifically each month. So that way, if nothing else, I have another place where somebody's getting information and can kind of keep spreading the word.
That's a great idea because it is a lot of work, almost a duplicate work to what you do every week. So I just want to make sure it's productive.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is everything's already usually written. I just have to
Right.
go find it, cut and paste, and adjust for the audience. So it's not as terrible as crafting the original things.
So for my information, it's on the website, Orange Milford Times. Where else?
s- we have, so we send it to all 4 or 5 news outlets. So Channel 3, Channel 30, Fox, 61, who am I missing? ABC. So they all get it, just in case there's something that captures their interest and they want to pick up a story of some sort. We send it to the New Haven Register. We send it to Milford Orange Times. And what's the other one that's in Orange? There's 2, there used to be 2 papers.
There used to be 2. There's only 1 now.
Okay, so we send it there. And I think that's about it, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know my admin assistant, she has a list of what we call the news outlets, and she sends it out to them. The only one who ever consistently does anything with it is Milford Orange Times.
Jen, did we publish Paul's newsletter in the Woodbridge Town paper before?
We did when that existed. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just sort of sad. I mean, I think we've lost, again, these sort of traditional communication forums have disappeared. I mean, we do, when it's published, Liz, my social media person will, she'll send out a push on Insta and on our Facebook page. Again, just because it's just another way to reach people. So that's our kind of other place that it goes out.
Those are probably great places too, Instagram and yeah. Okay. Anything else on Paul's newsletter? So that's the end of our agenda, but I want to just say for our next meeting. So we decided at the beginning of this academic year that we would only host one forum. And I think next month is a good time to begin talking about topics for the May forum and thinking about dates. And so getting, that process started.
Carol,
Yeah.
Carol, why do we do it in May? It's like the end of the year. You know, people have things they're interested in, and now we're addressing parents at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
So part of it was we didn't want to do it in the middle of budget season because that is your most important message that you
Right.
should be messaging. So pretty much February to May, when the referendum happens, is kind of, you guys got to have something else that you have to be out messaging. So that wasn't a good time. The other thing too is I think when we first started, started doing these, May just happened to, like, we started mid-year, so May was just kind of our first chance to do it. Then when we went to 2 a year, we picked May and October. I think what we really, if we want to rethink this and if we still want to continue it, because again, there's kind of that whole question of bang for your buck when we don't get a whole lot of people showing up for this, but probably shifting it to some place. I don't know, November and December are terrible because people are doing the holidays. And so I'm guessing either early November or maybe like early November is probably our optimal time to do it.
how about April, Jen? What are your thoughts about
We're
April?
still in the budget. And I mean, I think two things happen. I think one is the discussion can get conflated to being more about budget, which is what we're trying to avoid because we're trying to be open and transparent and talk about something else. And then I think your other challenge with April is because you have a vacation week in there, everything else is already cramped and crammed. We have to do our regular board meeting before the week of vacation, then we have the week of vacation, and then we do our second board meeting. So we just don't have that. It's just sort of takes up that extra space. Those would be my two sort of perspectives on it. I don't know that April is a terrible idea. It probably would be hard for us to get it organized this year in time for April. I guess that's the other thing is just, from my staffing perspective, Terry and I are still, I guess we're okay with the budget by then. Once we have it out for, once we approve it through the annual meeting.
So I like October. I think we should look at doing it in October. October seems to be I feel like everyone's kind of done with the whole back to school nights and we're in school and everyone's back to schedule. And I think October would be good. Obviously, this year we'll just do it in May and then maybe rethink doing it in October and that be the time to do it. It doesn't give us a lot of time, but.
So the problem, and again, so this is what I think we have to rethink, and maybe we just build out a timeline at our next meeting. If in October, right, we don't have time to plan it out because we literally come back, our first meeting is September, and then we're rolling to the forum. Maybe what we should really do is spend our springtime, like April, May meetings, planning the October meeting. It may not be a responsive topic, like in the moment, oh my gosh, this is the hot button issue that we have. But if we can thoughtfully come up with something that we think is meaningful for our families, we can plan it at the end of the year and have it ready to launch as soon as October hits. And that would probably be a better cycle for us because, Dana, I agree. October really is for us the best month. Back to school nights are done. And Mrs. LaPlante really hasn't started junior planning, senior college stuff, like all those other meetings haven't started. And it's a lot to ask parents to come out to multiple meetings per night. You got the email that Tom Brandt has a whole slew of mental health and wellness meetings that for open for families, but they're all in the springtime. So, and that's typically his pattern because he kind of sees what's going on with the kids, and then he sort of picks the topics that we think are going to be most important. So I think really for us and, for our purposes, October, or like I said, that first week in November are our two best choices. And then we sort of fit in nicely with everybody else.
Yeah, I like the idea of sort of spending our time in the spring planning. I think that also gives us an opportunity to drop the dates for the forum, in different um, pieces of dissemination and like on the calendar, on the website, things like that, so that we increase the chances of people sort of.
Well, you may get more, yeah, you also may get more participation to new parents at Amity, right?
Yeah.
Do we still have the opportunity to poll for topics just to see what's going on in people's minds out there?
Yeah, we certainly can.
I mean, I know we didn't get a lot of traction on that, but maybe that's because we were doing two and, there was 2 years where we did two. Maybe now that we haven't had one in a while, maybe there'll be more, just because it's interesting to see what the parents are thinking. I mean, right now I don't have a kid in the school, so I'm kind of far from that. I was more in it when Carlo was in, but just to see what they're buzzing about.
Let me see if I can use the school climate survey, which we send out in about March, and we get live time results on that. If I can embed a question on the parent survey around that, we would have the data that would help us plan in the springtime. It's not asking parents to complete an extra survey.
Right.
I hate asking parents to complete extra surveys, but if I can embed that, then we might be able to pull a little data from there. And I mean, and it'll be seems to be a good representation of our parents. We have enough people completing it. It's statistically significant. So
good.
I feel like the middle school schedule, not that that necessarily has to be the topic, but maybe whatever topic we pick has some part of that, because I feel like that's something that community wise there's a lot of misunderstanding about and uncertainty about.
So that'll actually happen more at the school level because of kids registering. So that's going to really fall on the shoulders of Mrs. Burke and Dr. Tracy as they push out to sixth grade families, and then as we roll our seventh grade kids up. The nice thing is that for sixth graders, they haven't experienced it, so they have no clue what is really going to be different or the same. It will have our biggest kind of trepidation with the seventh into eighth grade crew because they had old and now they have new. But I think that will be more local at the school level. And honestly, it's the best place to do it because we get more parents who will come out for parent information night for 6 into 7 and registration for 7 into 8 than any community forum we could ever possibly pull together. So
Okay, that's good.
It is the best place to have that kind of conversation and to share that information.
I just know, like with the unleveling, sometimes that these kinds of things take people get really into it, even if it doesn't impact them, and they have a lot of opinions and misinformation. So just something maybe it's a small portion of what we other stuff we talk about, but
what may happen would be sort of a reflection because we would be 2 months into it, so kind of a reflection on how it's going at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you thinking the polling would be for the May forum or for something in the fall? Like, would we get the
to plan
polling
something in the
enough?
fall?
Okay.
We'll focus on October. And you said that parent climate surveys March.
Yeah, we usually send it out. Well, I have to double check. Maybe, I don't know if we're doing one this year because it's every other year, but I can still use that time frame and sort of that same tool and the same process to send that out. So I'll have to double check with Peter. It just occurred to me that, yeah, we're only supposed to do it once every 2 years, but so maybe it won't be so bad.
Okay. Great. Items for our next agenda or topics that you want to see reflected on the agenda for next month. Anyway, if you have suggestions, Jen and I will connect and figure out next month's agenda. Please feel free to send them along to Jen or to me.
Carolyn,
Good.
go ahead. Dana, go ahead.
I just was gonna ask, do we have the dates for when you're gonna be presenting the budget presentations to the towns?
Yeah, excuse me, it's actually on the website right now. If you go to the budget, you'll see my presentation to the AFC, and it's the second to last slide there. So I'm actually heading to Bethany in 10 minutes, so.
What about not the actual AFs, not to the individual finance boards, but you did like a community, I don't remember what you called it, but you came out to Orange and did like it wasn't to the Board of Finance, it was
Like
to the town.
Yeah, it's their public hearing.
Public hearing, yep.
So Orange is the only town that asked me to do that.
Okay,
And they set the date, and I don't know when it is. So I will go when they tell me it's happening, but it's usually in April.
April, okay, because I'd
Yeah.
like to get that communicated out. There was a decent attendance, but I think if people want to get information or question things, then that's a really great place to go.
Well, where they should be coming and they never do is our public forum.
Right. No one
We
came
have a
last
public
year.
hearing in April every single
Yeah.
year, and
So-
nobody comes to it.
And where do we advertise? Just on the website for that?
No, it'll be, I usually put it into one of Paul's newsletters. We'll put it out on Facebook. It actually, I was gonna say, no, it's not there. And so it's in those two places. And then obviously posted like any other board meeting, but nobody ever pays attention to that stuff. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, we mostly push it out through, and then we'll do pop-ups on the website and stuff like that. So, our immediate community will notice that it's coming. We'll do everything that we can.
Yeah, because I really want to try to plug that a lot, because I think that should be, it was a little disappointing that nobody came last year to ours. And we had a good turnout in Orange, but nobody questioned anything. So I want to try to be that plug for, listen, if you're questioning this or you're questioning that, please come to this and question. Because it's disappointing to me that anybody has any questions about things or they want to complain about things, but then there's two public hearings and no one gets up and says anything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to be a plug for those two hearings.
Well, and it's also a good place for people to lend their support, right? Because again, there's perception that I realize it costs money, and everybody hates the budget, but I mean, when you're the lowest budget in the state, like maybe you should, come out and support it.
Right.
Yeah. Dana, I think another potential outlet to advertise is like through the town committees.
Yeah.
So that's another way. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so once you have those dates, if you want to share them with us, that would be helpful.
So yeah, I think probably on my slide, the only one I don't have is our public budget hearing. I'll include it with the PTSOs, but it is April 6th.
And Jen, who usually gives you the orange one?
John Cifarelli. He usually just emails Terry and tells her what day we're supposed to be there.
Okay. I'll reach out, see if I can get that
I mean,
date.
I would have to think that Kevin Houlihan or Jim Leahy knows what the date is right now.
Yep, I'll get it.
So,
All right. Anything else before adjournment? All right. If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn our meeting at 6:22 p.m.
all right, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.